happens. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Stop. Y'all tell me what it's doing. Can you see me? Or can you just hear me? Stop. I'm gonna hold off until y'all tell me it's all cockeyed. How does the screen look? How do I look? Am I good? Give me a thumbs up. Sideways. Dadgummit. Sorry for the pop. Alright, there we go. I don't... Uncle Lou has told me to do that before, and I try, and every stinking time it says rotate, so I was trying not to do it, but it won't let me do it. It won't let me do it, guys. So I guess we have to roll with this until I figure it out. Hey, do me a quick favor, guys. Hit that thumbs up button. It doesn't pat me on the shoulder or stroke my ego or anything like that. All it does is it hits that algorithm and it gets suggested in multiple platforms, and it basically gets more people in because it gets recommended more. That's what. And if you don't like it, hit the thumbs down. Either way helps. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Tell me how you feel, and we'll promote it that way. So, are we good now? Am I still sideways? Okay, looks like we're good. Hold on one second, guys. So this will be a call-in show, but I'm having a Big Ten guest come on here in just a few minutes. So after he's done, I'll have you guys call in. How about that? It's not going to take super long. You'll have plenty of time, but I wanted to get his thoughts on some things. His name is Steve Deese. I think is how you pronounce the name. He'll correct me if necessary. But he'll be calling in here in just probably about 10 minutes or so. So, yeah, today, from what I'm hearing, the Pac-12 announced that they're not expanding, and everybody's like, oh, Golden Blue dude, you're wrong. That means, they're not picking up anybody. And that'll tidal wave to the Big Ten. They won't pick anybody. And then the ACC. Everybody is saying what they need to be saying at the moment. Okay? So, if that's what the Pac-12 needed to say, that's what they said. It doesn't mean nothing's happening. Remember Texas and Oklahoma, whenever we first started hearing that they were going to the SEC? Well, at first they denied it, and then eventually it came out. So, if you want to call in on later today on tonight's show, my days are running in, guys, or on another show, all you do is email, send your information to footballnewshour.com. Easy to remember, footballnewshour.com. So whenever you email that address, your information, he'll send you my call-in number. This is our way of controlling the troll population. Remember the Bob Barker saying, help control the pet population? Well, this is help control the troll population. Because whenever I gave out the number on the show, they came out of the woodworks. So if you want to call in, send your information to footballnewshour.com, and then he will email you back the number to the show. So that's how that works. So far, it's worked pretty well. I'm sure trolls will figure it out and they'll get their say eventually. But for now, it's working pretty good. So usually I do my live shows on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 9 p.m. But yesterday I waited too late to eat in between lunch and dinner, and my sugar bottomed out. So I felt like I was car sick, I was dizzy, all that stuff whenever you're not feeling quite yourself. So, and it happened like 15 minutes before the show, so it was a last minute type of thing. So that's why I didn't have a live show yesterday, but you know me, I'm going to make it up no matter what. So I pushed it over to today. So I do apologize about that, but here we are. Saturday is still on. So think of it this way. You only have a 1-day break in between shows instead of a 2-day break. So I'll let you catch your breath tomorrow, and then we'll go back live on Saturday. I think it worked out pretty good. Y'all let me know. So don't forget, you can always hit the... Crap, I forgot to send Wisconsin Fan the PayPal link. Joe, you get with him as far as the Cash App ID, all that stuff. I forgot to send the link to that. So, but you can still hit the Super Chat to support the show. It's that $sign there in your comment section. Any little bit helps the show. We're doing pretty good right now. Growing like crazy. Here's the trajectory we're on right now. So, back in April... we finally hit 1,000, and that was a year and a half into this YouTube channel. We got to 1,000. Well, from April to August, we went from 1,000 to 3,500. So that's another 2,500 in like 4 months. So that's crazy. I appreciate it, guys. Let's keep it rolling. I think me and Joey have this outrageous goal of 10,000 at the end of the year, by the end of the year. But you know what? I've learned to trust Joey because he's the one back in April that said, hey, I think you can get to 2,500 by kickoff. And I was like, you are nuts. We would have to have an insanely great month, maybe even 2 months to get that. Well, guess what? He called it. We had 2 insanely great months. And not only did we reach that goal, but we're 1,000 past that goal. Well, almost 1,000 past that goal. Insane. So I'm not going to doubt him. We are going for 10,000 by the end of the year. I think we can do it, especially with college football season. That's what we're all looking for. Let's not play games here. College football season. Let's see. I'm not sure exactly how many days, but I know it's about a week. So only a week, guys. Pay attention on Friday. So if you haven't already, what I'm doing is I'm doing a score prediction contest, okay? Every single week, I'll pick out one college football game, all right? You guys will try to guess the score, and whoever gets the closest to the actual score wins $50 a week. Now, here's the thing, okay? That's a lot of money, so I need some help from you guys. I do ask that you join the Patreon page. You don't have to join the biggest one. You can join the lowest one, which is under $5. It's $4.99 a month, okay? So join the Patreon page, and you could win a lot of money because I'm going to do it every week, guaranteed winner. And if there's a tie, I'll just split the money. So no matter what, if you're the closest, you're getting some money. I want to do $50 a week. That's what I want to do, all right? But if we don't get enough Patreon members, I'll have to lower it to 20 because I don't want to be hemorrhaging money, giving money away. So, guys, it's up to you as far as how big the prize money is going to be. The more Patreons we get, the bigger that prize money, guaranteed prize money will be. I want it to be $50, so let's do it. And we're going to have a lot of fun with it. It's not just money. You're going to have bragging rights on the line. I mean, you're going to be able to brag about it. And if you have a YouTube channel, you could actually make a video about it. Go to Bluetooth giving you video ideas. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, my mouth is super dry right now, guys. So I made a video earlier about, let's see. Hold on, I just saw a question. Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan? Hold on. He says, for the contest, if a game ended 24-17, would you call 29-17 closer or 26-19 closer? Well, that's the thing. I'm not going by over or under. If it's the same, then it's the same. So say somebody guessed 29-17 and another person guessed 26-19. Both of them would be winners, and we would split the money. That's how that would work. So that's actually a good question. I like it. Good job. So if y'all have any more questions about the score prediction contest, by all means. I cleared up the what if it's a tie thing. If it's a tie, splitting the money. easy, no big deal. And then that was a good question. What if somebody's 3 points away over or 3 points away under? That's still a tie. So we would still split up the winnings between the two. So, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Wisconsin fan in the house, what's going on? Bubbles McKenzie already has a score prediction for the West Virginia Maryland game, 36-17. I think it's I think it's going to be a smidge closer than that. I think maybe a 34-24 or 34-27 type of game. Maryland does have some talent, guys. I'm telling you, and I do think Maryland gets to a bowl at 6-6. So that's actually going to be a good win. But West Virginia better not sleep on Maryland. They have a talented quarterback, and their defense should be better than what it was last year. So we'll see. Let me look at the time real quick, guys. Oh, yeah, what I was saying earlier. Did y'all enjoy the video I did? Me and Joey were actually... The way I came up with that particular idea is me and Joey were talking about it earlier, and we were talking about, some of these teams that have nothing to worry about. They're already in the Big Ten, they're already in the SEC, they're already in the ACC, Pac-12. They have nothing to worry about because they can't get kicked out. And we just started talking. I was like, what if they could get kicked out? What if they could get fired? And that's when I started, the juices started flowing in my head. I was like, I need to do a video. If you could fire teams out of the remaining Power 4 conferences, who would they be? And boom, that is how that video came to pass. So I hope that y'all enjoyed that video. I had fun doing it. It was one of those videos where... Okay, the best way I can explain this is sometimes going into it, you expect the video to take forever to edit. You're like, I know it, like prediction videos. A lot of stats, a lot of editing, a lot of graphics. It's going to take 3 or 4 hours to edit going into it. So you're like, all right, I know what I'm getting into. Let's do this. Today's video, I didn't quite have that mindset. I thought it was going to be maybe an hour, hour and a half of editing. Way wrong. Way wrong. That thing probably took me about 3.5, 4 hours to edit. So the editing app that I actually use my phone. I shoot with my phone and I edit with my phone. It's called KindMaster. The problem with KindMaster is after so many cuts, it starts slowing down and not glitching, but it can't keep up with itself, if that makes any sense. So the video is going and you're over here and you're getting the audio from back here. So you got to stop it and rewind. And I like to cut my videos a lot because I want to get as much information and the least amount of dead time in my videos as possible. I want it to be all information, all energy, all exciting, nothing boring, no ums or thinking or trying to figure out the next thing. I cut all that out. Now trust me, I do a lot of that in my regular videos, but I try to cut all that out. So there's a lot of cutting in my videos, and that's the problem. It makes it take longer for the editing process because it slows the app down. So that's the biggest issue when I start cutting my videos excessively. And it's always been my thing. I've put a lot of work into this channel, so I'm very particular on what I put out. I want it to be the best version of me possibly out there. So, I'll edit any dead time, any stuttering, any pauses, anything like that. So, that's what you get out of those. We're getting opinions saying, number one, Brock Purdy is slightly overrated. But Breece Hall and Kolar are the truth. I think it's kind of a mix. I don't think Brock Purdy is overrated. In fact, people have actually come down on him. Maybe last year he was overrated, but today people are more of an even keel with him. Breece Hall is underrated. He's one of the best running backs in the nation, and he doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Kolar, the tight end, he's one of the best tight ends in the nation, but he got overshadowed by Kyle Pitts last year. Now that Kyle Pitts is out of the college football, you might hear Kolar's name a lot more this year. So Good job pointing that out. That's pretty good. Iowa State's going to be dangerous. It's hard to figure out the thing between Oklahoma and Iowa State because they're both in the same situation. Both of these teams have to beat the other team twice. Or lose to the team in the regular season and beat them in the Big 12. Winning the regular season and losing the Big 12 doesn't do you any favors whatsoever. So if you are going to lose that, you need to lose in the regular season and then come back and beat them. And it is very, very, very difficult to beat a really good team twice. Iowa State couldn't do it last year. Remember, they beat Oklahoma in the regular season, couldn't do it in the Big 12. Oklahoma was blowing them out, but then Iowa State came back, made it a game, almost came back and beat Oklahoma. It was pretty good. So I'm hoping that they can deliver some more epic games like that. And I think that Texas A&M knocks off Alabama in College Station, good game, shootout, and then Alabama gets to the SEC Championship and loses to Georgia. Or what could happen is Texas A&M beats Alabama. I'm not coming off of that. And they only lose one game, and they get into the SEC Championship via the tiebreaker. So Alabama could end up having only a one-loss season, but still miss the playoffs because they didn't make the SEC Championship, and the other records of the champions could be better. I do think that Texas A&M beats Alabama. That's the one thing that I'm pretty sure of. The one thing that I'm not sure of is, does Texas A&M grab a loss to, say an LSU and Ole Miss, or two, both of them, and then Alabama sneaks into the SEC Championship that way? I still think Alabama would get beat by Georgia if they're fully healthy by then. I'm telling you, they have got to stop taking advice from that former strength and conditioning coach from Alabama. He got fired for the same exact reasons at Alabama. For whatever reason, the way he does things gets players injured. It's not a good routine. It's not a good, whatever you want to call it, practice, training, conditioning, weightlifting, all that stuff. Whatever his regimen is, it's not good. And it's starting to happen again. So they need to stop taking advice from this dude before their whole, defensive side of the ball and offensive side, the entire team gets injured. Because from the way it looks now, one of you guys said this. I'm not sure who it was, but I got a comment on that video that I made that it seems like Georgia is playing in a cow pasture. That's what it seems like, full of, holes and bumps and tree roots, all that stuff. They got to figure it out. Two Irish brothers in the house. What's up, guys? Thanks for stopping by. Good comments, guys. Hey, if y'all haven't checked out the two Irish brothers, they have some good Notre Dame content over there. I enjoy talking to them. All right, so it's 9:15. This is when I'm expecting him to call. So we'll see. According to Joey, it was still on. See, I was supposed to do my live show yesterday. I told the guy from Kansas City we're gonna do something later on. He couldn't make it on tonight because he had another interview. And then Steve Deese, we told him that the show was off either. I thought he was going to call in. Maybe not. I'm going to give him maybe 5-ish minutes. After that, I'm going to let you guys call in. Those of you that have emailed and gotten the number back. Hold up. Don't call in yet, guys. Don't call in yet. I'm going to give him a few more minutes. Wisconsin fan. The Pac-12 commissioner came out and said Pac-12 not expanding. My take on that is Pac-12 is saying what the Pac-12 needs to say right now. Okay? Right now. Just like Texas and Oklahoma said what they needed to say whenever it first broke. We'll see how it goes in the next month. But maybe the timing is not immediately. That's what tells me. Maybe it'll be a month from now or at the end of the season or a year from now. I don't know. But them saying that today tells me it might not be immediate. Now, How that affects West Virginia going to the ACC? None at all. I'm telling you guys, it's a done deal. I have inside sources telling me it's a done deal. It's kind of like the Texas and Oklahoma thing. They had been talking to the SEC for 6 months without Bob Bowlesby even knowing that. That's the same thing West Virginia has been doing. My hunch is saying that maybe West Virginia did know that Oklahoma and Texas were doing what they were doing. Maybe West Virginia has a better relationship with Texas and Oklahoma than I realized, and they got the ball rolling with the ACC back then, and because of the issues that Bob Bowlesby stirred up with that cease and desist letter to the SEC. The SEC is not even allowed to talk about Oklahoma and Texas coming to the SEC right now because of that cease and desist letter. Okay? So I think they're following that lead, like, okay, well, if he's doing that to them, then if we come out, we're going to get immediately hit with that. Maybe they don't want that. I don't know. But we'll see how the timing goes. We'll see. See who we got here in the chat. Sorry, if you're wondering why I do live shows on my phone, it's because the Wi-Fi here sucks. And in fact, yesterday I actually canceled my satellite internet because we were paying money for crap. And whenever I called that company, I'm not going to, I don't want to, drag them through the mud, so I'm not going to say their name. Whenever I called that company, the person that I talked to said, whoever suggested that you get our service there shouldn't have done that because we actually recommend that you don't get our service there because it's so slow. I'm like, yeah, well, we just got ripped off, a total of over $1,200 if you total it up because we've had it for a year for nothing. That's why I have to do it on my phone because I don't have any Wi-Fi. So I have to use my data on my phone. So right now my laptop is useless as far as doing live shows. Now I can do a hotspot and do other stuff on my laptop, but I tried the hotspot on my laptop. It does not work very well at all. Ask all the old time live show watchers. They'll tell you it was glitching and buffering badly. Let's see. Oh yeah, Don Wells, American Athletic Conference bound. Absolutely not. Not even close. West Virginia is not going to the AAC. So yeah. So we have 73 in the chat and only 40 likes. I need your help, guys. Please hit that like button so this thing gets suggested. And I'll tell you what, you don't even have to hit the thumbs up. You can hit the thumbs down if you don't like it. All of it helps the algorithm and brings more people in. That's what it's all about. Starting bigger conversations. Golden Blue Dude, do you get AT&T service where you live? No, I do not. That is my problem. That's a good question, Wiki. As Lou calls you, Waikiki. That's hilarious, but you're really Wiki. But anyways, I get AT&T phone service, but I don't get AT&T internet here. And it's because whenever we called for service, it's there's not enough people. I don't live way out the boondocks, but I kind of live in between cities on kind of a back road. So they said there's not enough people in our location to run wires here. Let's see. Can I read that right? Cameron, Oklahoma. Golden Blue Dude, what's the link for the wood drawing people? Oh, that's tristatewoodsketch.com. Wisconsin fan, if you could put the link to my sponsor, tristatewoodsketch.com. We had one of the commenters ask what the link to that. Wisconsin says, GBD, I'll try to call in next weekend. That'll work, man. Anytime you want to. There's no set date. We don't schedule things. All right, so hold on just 1 second. Maybe I missed a call and I didn't even realize it. I hope that didn't happen. No, I did not. Okay. And hold on, I just got an update from Joey. He says Steve may not call until 10:15. He is Central Time. Okay, so, but Joey did tell him we're in Eastern Standard Time, but he may have forgotten. Okay, thanks for the update, Joey. I appreciate it. Wiki says, if you get AT&T cell phone service and it's good, I have a way I can help you out. hit me up on my email for sure. Refsuck.com. REFSSUK. REFSSUK@gmail.com. One of you mods put up my email for who was it now? Was it Wiki? Yeah, Wiki. Put up my email address for Wiki again. Refsuck@gmail.com. He's going to try to help me out so I can get on the laptop and make this an even better show. I like how it's going right now, but I think the laptop would make it even better. Wisconsin says I won't have a phone until Sunday night. Wisconsin? What did you do, my friend? Did you lose a phone? Did you stay out too late or something? Did you talk to a girl that your parents did not approve of? I need some info on that now. I need some info on that, man. As of right now, anybody can call. Sorry. I should have updated y'all. So, right now we're on a first call, first served basis. So, basically, you email, what was it? footballnewshour.com, and he will email you the call-in show. That kind of lets us know that you're not a troll, and that's what we try to avoid. Because the first time that we did that was, well, hold on, this is Mexico City, so I might want to make sure this is not a troll. Hold on. Go to Blue Dude. Who's this? Okay, hold on. All right, you're on, bud. I got you.
Hey, man, no problem.
I just had to make sure you weren't somehow a troll that got the number, because I was like, Mexico, uh-oh. What's on your mind, bud?
Well, I first wanted to tell you, you were talking about the coordinator in Georgia. He's actually he's the special teams coach, Scott Cochran.
Yeah. That's what people were telling me whenever I put that video out.
Yeah.
But people were saying that people that I knew that were that know the problem on the inside of Georgia said the problem is, for some reason, there's some type of communication going on between him and the strength and conditioning coach, and then all this stuff happened. That's what I got from the conversation.
Yeah,
they might be incorrect, but it does make sense.
At Alabama.
Yeah.
We thought he was a god at Alabama, and then he left, and we got new strength and conditioner coaches. And I'll tell you what, we don't get injuries anymore.
That's what I'm talking about, and to me, that's too big of a coincidence, you know.
Yeah, it really is.
So,
and I do think.
Who's your team, real quick? Who's your team?
I'm in Alabama. Roll Tide.
All right, so you're an Alabama fan. So I think that Alabama loses to Texas A&M, and either Texas A&M gets in over them, or Texas A&M picks up 2 losses and Alabama gets the SEC championship, and I have Georgia beating Alabama. Either way, I have Alabama barely missing the playoffs. And that's not disrespect to Alabama. It's that, y'all lost pretty much your entire offense, and a bad year for Alabama is barely missing the playoffs. Like, that's worst case scenario for Alabama.
Right, but what's going to surprise a lot of people this year is I know everybody looks at Alabama, and we've had 2 wide receivers go in the top 15 the last 2 years.
Yep.
But the receivers we have now are actually faster than Judy or Waddle or Smith. So these wide receivers are going to surprise the people.
Well, and the thing is, I don't think it's a downgrade in talent. That's not my thinking at all. My thinking is this is a whole new unit, basically, and to me, I think it's going to take a little bit of time for everybody to really mesh. Now, Alabama's not your ordinary team, so I'm not saying, they're going to be like 7-5, 8-4. Like I said, 1-2 losses at the most, and either barely get in the playoffs or barely miss the playoffs.
Now, I think we'll beat Texas A&M because I think Jimbo Fisher made the mistake of guaranteeing a win.
Why did he do that? Stupid.
I think, honestly, and I hate to say this, but I think Alabama loses to Florida this year.
Really?
I think that's going to be a really tough game for us. Even though Florida's not predicted to be all that wonderful this year, I just think going to Florida, I think if we lose a game, I would be more worried about Florida.
Well, for me, Florida lost most of their offensive production, and their defense was trash. So I have them like 7-5, maybe 8-4, and possibly finishing unranked. I think they're just going to be a horrific team this year. The call may have dropped because I did hear him stop talking. Let me check that. You might have muted yourself, man. Check your phone real quick. Because I see the time still rolling, but I can't hear you. Well, I'm going to let you go, man. I don't know what happened, but I think he's beeping in on himself, actually. In the middle of that, I got a reminder from my phone saying I needed an upgrade, and it paused my video. Stupid phone. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, no, I mean, I do believe that both Florida will be a tough game, and I don't like Lane Kiffin. I mean, he's an offensive genius, so playing him always kind of scares me.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're playing Ole Miss at home, so there's a stat that says home field advantage is worth at least 13 points. Okay, so I don't think as good as Ole Miss, as good as Ole Miss that I think they will be, as good as I think Ole Miss will be. I got it out, guys. Don't troll me. I got it out. I don't think they'll be I don't think they'll be able to overcome that. And Nick Saban pretty much owns his assistants. But at the same time, that's contradicting myself because I think Jimbo Fisher is going to beat Nick Saban. It's a big head scratcher. It's if somebody beats Alabama, who's it going to be?
Well, it can't be Georgia.
I don't think it's going to be Alabama, though, or Florida, because they lost their offense from last year, and that's pretty much all they had.
That's true. They have lost a lot.
And their defense was horrendous last year, and I'm of the impression that the Florida that we saw against Oklahoma will resemble the Florida that we'll see the most. Maybe not exactly, but I think it's going to be pretty darn close to what we saw against Oklahoma, and that was not good at all. At all. Emory Jones is a joke, guys. Florida fans, I am not trash-talking you. Please, for the sake of your sanity, don't get your hopes up. Don't put all your eggs in the basket of Emory Jones. You're going to be let down.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when Florida lost those 6 players last year to play Oklahoma, it just killed them.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying.
Be the team they have this year.
Yeah. I know the Swamp's tough, but Florida's not going to be tough this year.
I will tell you, though, I do feel sorry, and I did find your show, actually, because of the Big 12 kind of collapsing, and I really hate to see that. Because I lived in Iowa for quite a while. I actually lived really close to Ames and the Cyclones, and the Big 12, I'm an old guy. I'm 51, so I grew up, when Iowa State was good in the 70s and, watching the old Big 12 and that. I really hate to think that the 8 remaining teams, some of them are going to get left out when, like your video earlier said, all these weak teams are in conferences that don't deserve to be. Yeah,
exactly. I think that's what makes everybody mad is, the Vanderbilts, the Wake Forest, all those weaker teams have gotten grandfathered in because they've been with these power conferences for such a long time, and those power conferences have stayed together for such a long time that even though they're terrible, they don't have to worry about anything. So, and then the teams that are in the Big 12 that are better than those teams, they're right now worrying.
Right.
But don't get me wrong. I don't think it's the way that people think it is. I don't think it's, Big 12 teams are hoping for a lifeline from these other conferences because the Big 12's going down. I think it's the other way around. I think the Big 12 is dissolving because everybody has reached out. I think all these deals have already been done. I know the Pac-12 is came out today and said, hey, we're not expanding. Everybody says what they need to say when they need to say it. I'm of the understanding and feeling that everybody knows where they're going at this exact moment. That's how I feel about the situation.
I'm just a little worried about Kansas State and Baylor. I don't know those two schools. I don't know if they bring enough. And with Baylor, with the religion and that, I don't know if that's going to hurt them.
Yeah, that
I do like Kansas State as long as Snyder's their coach, because Bill Snyder, he was like the god at Kansas State. But without him, they kind of go back to where they were.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about Kansas State as Baylor. I think Kansas State and Oklahoma State are going to be picked up by the Pac-12. Don't know the timeline, but I think that's going to be their destination. The three teams that I worry about are Texas Tech, Baylor, and TCU. The argument could be made that either all three could go to the Mountain West or all three could go to the AAC, and if they do so, make an argument for wherever they go to be to take the place of the Big 12 as the new Power 5 conference. So even though they won't be in the Big 12, maybe a soft landing spot for them.
Well, and I think some of the teams in the AAC, I think some of them do deserve to be a Power 5. I mean, Cincinnati's coming around. UCF has really, got some decent coaches and, are showing that they can play. And let's face it, Memphis State with FedEx, with them, I mean, that's a lot of money, you know. So, I mean, there's some teams that are legitimate. I
agree with that. Good call, man. Remember, I'm only taking 1 day break, so you can call back on Saturday, all right? 9 o'clock.
Hey, man.
All right, good call, man.
Thank you for my call.
No problem. Have a good night. That was actually a pretty good call by an Alabama fan. He wasn't all uppity and stuck up and all that stuff. He was pretty down to earth, so that was a good call. Phone lines are open, guys. If you don't know the phone number, the best way to get it is email footballnewshour.com, your information, what number you're going to call from, and then he'll email you back the call-in number to this show, because I don't have a soundboard, so I don't have any way of, making sure trolls don't come on. You're on with Golden Blue Dude.
Stock is Pitt here.
What's going on, Pitt?
How you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. Last night, I waited too long between lunch and dinner, and that's why I didn't have a live show, but I'm good tonight.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yesterday I worked about 17 hours because everybody's just deciding to just quit, and we don't know why.
Ooh.
I mean, we bumped everybody's pay rate because I work at a recycling plant.
Right.
And they bumped everybody's pay rate up to $24 an hour, and I guess people just don't want to work 14-hour shifts. Me, I just love the money.
Well, hey, that's why we all work. Now, I'm super blessed because I'm starting to make not great money here, but more decent and more decent as the months go by, and this is not a job to me, so I feel very blessed.
Yeah. Well, at least it gives you a little extra income so you can enjoy yourself a lot more than what you have been used to.
Yeah,
that's the way I look at it. But about this whole conference realignment thing, I honestly don't give a shit about it. Excuse my language. I don't give a damn. I really don't. Because the only thing it's going to benefit Pitt for is ensuring if the whole West Virginia thing doesn't go through the way to the ACC like it should, at least West Virginia could join one of the conferences that is aligning itself.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
So, unless it ensures that we play each other every year, I don't care.
I got you. That makes sense. I like that. I
don't.
like that thought process. I never thought of it that way. Very good.
I don't, because I honestly feel as a conference commissioner, if you can't stand up to the big bad SEC or the super conference as they're calling it, then you shouldn't be in the position you're in.
That's true. Yeah. You gotta have confidence that you can measure up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I guess it benefits each school in a different way that it's not going to benefit another school, and I see that being the problem. Is not everybody's going to benefit from it in the same way, and not a lot of people agree with me. They're like, "Oh well, every school's going to get more TV time and blah blah blah," and I'm like, the only school in the ACC that needs TV time is Pitt.
You know that's a good point you bring up, and that's why West Virginia to the ACC is gonna happen and is so important, because okay, West Virginia to the Pac-12, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. No way, no how, doesn't make sense. West Virginia to the Big Ten, we would make some good money, but how would we benefit the Big Ten? We don't. I'm being honest. West Virginia does not benefit the Big Ten. Maybe Penn State rivalry. Other than that, I don't see much of a benefit for the Big Ten. West Virginia goes to the SEC. Again, I really don't see much benefits for the SEC. Now, West Virginia would be fine. They'd be making a ton of money, but it doesn't help the SEC. But West Virginia to the ACC benefits both parties. It benefits West Virginia, but it also benefits the ACC, because West Virginia is rivals with so many teams in the ACC. It will bring in revenue. We will bring in revenue.
Yeah.
We will bring in eyeballs. We'll be worth than over half of the teams in the ACC right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Worth
there
more.
are teams who can talk their way into a TV deal. For whatever reason, nobody wants to give Pitt a TV deal, and I kind of get it. We don't really have exciting football on a consistent basis. You know, for the past 10 years, the only thing exciting for the past decade is we've beaten people we should not have.
Right, yeah.
And that's been a good thing, that's been a bad thing. That's made a lot of people hate us. A lot of people hate us.
You're good at spoiling.
Yeah, because we're good at spoiling. Because I mean, look what, and I know you're gonna hate for me to bring this up, but
Get it out.
2007, we had a losing record. One of the rare times in Pitt history, which was only 3 times, that we had a losing record. We might have went 6-6 that year. Because I don't believe you guys were the last game of the season, were you?
No, I think y'all went like 4-7 or 4-6.
4-6 and ended up
Something
going
like that.
5-6. I don't think we made a bowl game that
5
year.
and 7, I
don't
think.
know.
5 and 7, I think.
Okay, yeah, I was in high school still in 2007.
Jeez.
I'll be 32 this Saturday. My birthday's this weekend.
Hold on. I'm doing a live show. What do you need? My kids.
Bother you.
What? Hold on. This is a live show, guys. I'm doing this in my bedroom. That's gonna happen. Go ahead, man.
But,
Although, just for the record, I already tucked him in. He's wanting to be tucked in again, so we go through this sometimes. Anyways, go ahead.
But so at our worst, usually when we beat teams we shouldn't, we're down, injured, we can't play anybody, or we're playing our backups as that may be. And it seems to when our back's against the wall, that's when we want to, how should I say this, bring who we really are out. And I hated that for a while.
Dude, listen to this. So your mascot is a panther, right? And it's almost like you got to get back into a corner just like a cat before somebody gets your best.
Yeah, and it's ever since Pitt ran Johnny Majors out of the university, and then everything went downhill. And then whenever Paul Christ left for the head coaching job at Wisconsin,
Yep.
we were doing good.
I remember that.
We were doing good when he was here.
He's a
we
good
took
coach.
down Notre Dame.
So can you comment to your fellow Pitt fan who's saying West Virginia to the MAC?
That would be the end of your program.
Yeah, and would that ever happen?
No, I mean,
No.
unless every other conference shut down, that's the only way that would happen.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even happen. West Virginia would just probably be better off throwing in the towel. I mean, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. The ACC would have to turn West Virginia down. The SEC, the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the AAC, Conference USA, the Sun Belt, and the Mountain West. The MAC is the
Unless you
worst
guys decide to go
FBS
independent.
conference.
Why don't you just go independent then, like Pitt did?
Exactly. Independent would be better than the MAC. My gosh.
Shit. Honestly, that's really
No, it's not THC.
probably... We would probably be better off not in a conference. I'm
See?
just saying.
My eyes are good. That's not THC vape. Somebody asked me if it was THC vape. It is not, sir.
I actually thought the same thing one time because I didn't know you vape until I seen you hit a vape one time on a live stream, and I was like, "Oh, cool, he vapes." Typical West Virginia fan. Anyway,
I was a smoker for 15 years.
oh yeah, look, I get
Getting
it,
hard to
dude.
breathe.
I get it. But you are right. As far as your point goes earlier, if West Virginia were to move, the Big Ten, yeah, they would benefit West Virginia, but it wouldn't benefit the Big Ten.
Right.
You guys would.
I agree.
It would help you guys in recruiting severely, and it would help you. I'm not saying you guys don't need help in recruiting. You guys obviously have what I recognize as, to me, a top 15
Hold on, Jeff.
recruiting
Hold on.
class.
Sorry, Jeff was beeping in. I was telling him to hold on. Go ahead.
So, to me, I think your recruiting class should be ranked higher for next year. I think it's top 15.
Dude, good point. All right. So, if West Virginia had no idea where they were going, they were up in the air, hoping the Big 12 stays together, no invite from the ACC, why do we have a top 20 recruiting class? Nobody's jumping ship, and we're still pulling in good recruits. That right there is a clue, guys. I know people like to listen. Oh, the Pac-12 said that they're not expanding, so that means everybody else isn't. Oh, we haven't heard anything from the ACC, so that means it's not happening. Look at the other clues, okay? There's other clues you got to be paying attention to.
And you have to think what is best for your university, because I don't know how you guys financially play in the Big 12. How do you do it?
We're third in revenue.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains it. Because you guys probably have to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars just on travel expenses.
Yep.
You guys probably have to take a private jet.
Yep.
You can't bus.
Yep.
Unless you just so happen to play in out of conference game, like a non-conference game.
Like this year, Maryland and Virginia Tech.
Yeah, you know what does not make sense to me, and this is what even us Pitt fans in the Pitt group have said. We have scheduled everybody, including West Virginia, for our non-conference game that you could possibly think of. Why have we never scheduled each other?
Yeah.
Why have we never scheduled each other?
I don't know. And think about it. South Carolina and Clemson, they're in totally different conferences, and last year was the first time that those two hadn't played each other in like 7 or 8, 9 decades. Just because we were in different conferences did not mean we had to stop the rivalry. That was stupid.
If that's what we said, that's exactly what Pitt fans said. They're like, look, we're not great, but the one thing Pitt fans held on to every year is the West Virginia game, because it never ended in a blowout. It was not always, but most of the time.
Rarely.
It was great. It was. In your opinion, what would be the most brutal rivalry in college football out of these 3 rivalries I'm about to name?
Well, I have the one in my head. I'm going to see if you're going to mention it.
Okay, Ohio State and Michigan, Pitt and West Virginia, or trying to think.
Deep South, man. Deep South. Go South.
That's where I'm leaning to. So, because I'm not knowledgeable as far as you when it comes to college football, because I don't know all the ins and outs. I just know about Pitt football. If you ask me a question, 98% I'm going to be able to answer it.
Well, I'm going to tell you the answer. Auburn, Alabama.
That's one of my choices,
Yeah.
but I was more leaning towards a Florida team.
No, I would put Pitt, West Virginia right under that. And I know that Pitt has a close to a 20-game lead as far as the series, but
21.
all those, that gap was widened before I was born. Since I was born, West Virginia's owned Pitt pretty much. I mean, y'all have had some good games, but that's deceiving. This is a good rivalry.
Oh, it's a great rivalry because actually, if I'm not mistaken, you guys won the first game.
You know what? I actually don't know the answer to that. I'm gonna look that up.
I do believe you guys won the first game, and it may have actually been a shutout. I can't believe I said that.
And let me clear this up. West Virginia and Marshall is not a rivalry. We have played 12 times, and West Virginia is 12-0 against Marshall. They had one chance to legitimately beat us, and it was 2010. If y'all ever get the chance to Google a game, Google the 2010 West Virginia versus Marshall game. There was about 8 minutes left in the game. They were up. It was 22-6 or 22-7, something like that. And they were on the 8-yard line. They were about to score. They were 8 yards away from scoring a touchdown. Had they scored a touchdown or kicked a field goal right then and there, it would have been a 3-score game, and the game would have been over. But they fumbled. We scored. And then we scored again and hit the 2-point conversion and did exactly what needed to happen. Send it to overtime, and they missed the field goal. I'm telling you guys, Google the game. That ending is amazing.
Yeah, I don't hate Marshall because we don't have history except one game, and we destroyed them by 42 points.
Yeah.
So why they would try to pick a fight with us, and I know it has to do with you guys. There's no other reason.
Yeah, it's just to get to us.
Marshall fans want to come after us because they want to get to you. They consider you a rival because, I mean, you got to understand, during the Conference USA, they don't, well, actually, they get exposed more than we do, and that pisses me off.
Yeah.
They don't play big teams like we do. You guys play Texas, Oklahoma.
They're in freaking Conference USA.
Yeah, we play Notre Dame, Clemson, and I guess Marshall fans feel they deserve to be in a bigger conference other than Conference USA. And I'm like, you guys just don't, geographically, it doesn't make sense for you guys to move.
You haven't
else.
you haven't owned Conference USA to say, hey, we deserve it. You've been okay. But in order to step up, you have, that's why Marshall was bumped into FBS, because they owned the FCS. And then they started owning the MAC. Well, ever since they joined Conference USA, they haven't owned Conference USA. So y'all don't get that bump up until you start owning Conference USA. That's just how it is.
No, I gotta give Marshall credit where it's due. In 2010, they did beat Purdue.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead and plug yourself, and I got to get to another call, but tell people where they can find you.
Oh, definitely. Guys, find me at Talk is Pit. I will be doing a video or a live stream on StreamYard, so if anybody wants to join, you guys can. You can talk trash, say how bad we are. I've heard it all.
Yep, and I might drop by too. How about that?
Definitely. All right, well, I'll let you get to another call. Golden Blue Dude, thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, Pitt and West Virginia fans can actually get along. Imagine that. So my one phone line is open, so first come, first serve if you want to call in. So far, some pretty good calls. I appreciate all the love I'm getting in the chat too as well. Hey, we got 81 watching and 63 thumbs up. So there's a few more of y'all that could hit that thumbs up and help get this thing suggested to even more people and get a bigger audience. Let's get to 100 in the chat. Come on. You are on with Golden Blue Dude. You there, Jeff?
Yes, I am. How we doing, Golden Blue Dude?
I'm good. How are you?
Just fine. Hey, I want to join the long wagon train.
All right.
It says, I want to join the long wagon train that says West Virginia is an ACC school. I think they always have been.
Yeah. That is correct, sir.
Happy to have them in the Big 12. I've enjoyed my interactions with their fans. I've enjoyed the opportunity to shoot them in a couple of different sports as they've come to Ames. But they belong in the ACC. I mean, that's home for them. It's just so obvious. And
yeah. Well,
it's
you
one of
know,
those things,
that video that I did
like,
yesterday, I know it was tongue-in-cheek, but there are some things that West Virginia will miss in the Big 12, especially the interaction with the fan bases of the Big 12. I can't say enough about the fan bases in the Big 12. Very, very classy and just likes to talk and get along. Now, when it comes to game time, you know, it's all business. But as far as, you know, there's no fights or anything like that. So, overall, good experience in the Big 12 as far as that goes.
Yeah, I think, I know you mentioned it earlier. Everybody saw today that the Pac-12 came out and wanted to hurry up and make it official that they were not looking at expanding at this time.
Right.
You know, I think the public, you know, you more or less said this, it may be in different language, but I mean, it's a point you've been making.
Mm-hmm.
The public's being played as a bunch of fools here. I mean,
yep.
I mean, is there anybody that pays any kind of what you would consider serious attention to college sports? Never mind football. I mean, the overall athletic scene that doesn't think that West Virginia is an ACC school.
Yeah.
I mean, that gives an objective look at the 8 remaining Big 12 teams, and if you said, okay, 2 of those are going to end up migrating into the Big 10. If you can't see that those two schools would be Kansas and Iowa State, then you just don't pay attention to athletics.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with that.
There's just some obvious stuff out here, and we're all being it was like that phony press conference they had the other day. We're all being played for stupid.
Hey, Matthew Lane, hit it right on the head. Cease and desist order. That is what is causing everybody to say, we're not doing anything right now. We're not doing anything. It was because of Bob Bowles, because he's a freaking moron. He got played by every stinking team in the Big 12, because I'm telling you right now, every team in the Big 12 knows where they're going at this very moment.
Oh, yeah. Look, I've been on Iowa State's campus, let's see, today's Thursday? So I've been on their campus 3 times in the past, since a week ago Monday, so the last, 12, 13 days, whatever. I've been on campus 3 times. That includes 3 visits to the Sports Information Office in the Jacobson building, the football building. Okay, there's nobody there talking about going to the Big 10, and there's nobody there saying we're not.
Right.
It's like a fait accompli. They already know it's going to happen.
Well, one of my sources reached out to a Big 10 representative about that, and they said, we cannot confirm, nor can we deny what Dave Wannstedt said.
Right. And the athletic director at Iowa State, Jamie Pollard, in the elevator, told me exactly this. Yeah, I'm quoting the AD. It is what it is. When I asked about rumors of Iowa State going to the Big 10, and that's all he would say. It was clear that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah, he wasn't adamant in saying, no, it's not happening. He said it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm in the elevator, and the door opens, and boom, there's Jamie. I'm like, oh, hey, Coach Pollard, and he just kind of smiled. And he said, what are you doing? He says, you on a fishing expedition today? And I said, no, I already know the answer. I said, I know we're going to the Big 10.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looked at me and says, it is what it is, and that was it. That was the end of the conversation. Next, we started talking about what his son was doing. But anyway,
there you go.
I mean, everybody knows, okay, these things, it's like saying, well, if I leave the ice out on a sidewalk, it's night. Do you think it'll melt? Okay. You know,
I can't confirm that, but I can't deny it.
right. Sources tell me we're going to have a puddle here shortly.
Yeah, exactly. They just
Hey,
have
I
to.
just
They
wanna-
just have to let it happen, you know.
Yeah. Let me get your thoughts on a happier subject,
Okay.
and that is, yes, we've got week 0, but for most of the country, we're 9 days away. Can you believe we're finally here? My God, how long has it?
Man.
Are you like me? Does it just feel like this off season was the longest off season ever?
It feels like last year never happened. It feels like we're starting college football for the first time in 2 years.
I would agree with that, even though obviously those who don't know, I'm an Alabama grad, and
Yeah.
that's Roll Tide.
But like the atmosphere,
I'm happy with what happened last year, but I can agree with your sentiment.
Yeah,
And
I mean, the
last year was
games
so
happened,
weird.
but it wasn't college football. I mean, it was just... There's a difference between a college football game and college football. We watched college football games, but we didn't watch college football.
Yeah, I tried to get an AP pass to Alabama at Missouri, okay, which is about a 5-hour drive for me, but it's my chance to go see my alma mater, okay.
Okay?
That should never ever have even been in question. I mean, as soon as I sent the request, I should have known within an hour that my name was on the list. But because of COVID, they were restricted all out of immediate contact media. And plus, I was at Jack Trice, and the place holds 62,000, and there's 8,000 there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The trombones are sitting 10 feet away from each other.
Like, in West Virginia, they wouldn't allow more than 1,000. 1,000 was the most they would let attend a game. I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah, just, and for everybody, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Ole Miss, if you're Washington, if you're Boston College. Isn't it going to be great
Yeah.
to have your tailgating back, to have your band back, to have the pageantry back, to have
The
all
entrances.
those,
The entrances.
the interest, right? The excitement when the team comes out 60 minutes before kickoff just to do their warm-ups.
Yep.
All the icing on the cake, all the little things that separate college football from professional football. Those are the things that were stripped away from us last year. All the pageantry,
Absolutely.
and all that'll be back again. I mean, I can't tell you how weird it was to go to Iowa City, and I just drove right to Kinnick.
And you weren't intimidated by the atmosphere.
Normally, for those of you who have any kind of geography information about the state of Iowa, I'm about Williamsburg, about 20 miles away from Iowa City. When I start running into traffic, normally going for an Iowa game, okay?
You know what's crazy? Like, okay, so
Instead, I drove right to the stadium,
last year, now usually you see the pregame warm-ups, right? And the stadium is lull. It's about half full, sometimes less. But then they go back into the tunnel, the stadium fills up, and they do their entrance, right? Well, last year, it was like all they did was what they usually do in warm-ups, and that was the actual game. Because the stadium never got full, the atmosphere never got intimidating, there was never that home field advantage. It was just like, okay, what stadium are we at today? There was no intimidation factor whatsoever.
Yeah. Penn State couldn't have a whiteout.
No.
Because the aerial shot of the stadium would have been gray, which is the color of their bleachers.
A gray out, yeah.
There wouldn't have been enough people there. There wouldn't have been enough people there for you to tell that they were all wearing white.
Now, if they would have put white squares on the empty seats, that might have worked. Never know.
Yeah.
But
So it'll just be great. It'll just be great to get back to. And everybody will be able to, in a couple of weeks, we'll all be harping about, well, they looked like they were terrible, or I couldn't believe how well they looked, and blah, blah, and we'll have something real and tangible to talk about.
Yep.
And I can't wait for that to happen. Now, professionally for me, I have a great October and November coming, but my September is rotten. I have one exciting game to shoot in September next week too. I've got Iowa and Iowa State. Other than that, I've got Northern Iowa and Iowa State. Then I've got Iowa and Iowa State, which will be a good game. But then I go to Kenny twice for Kent State and Colorado State.
You've given me an idea, Jeff. You have given me an idea. Okay, so I've been promoting the score prediction contest, right? Well, I've been trying to figure out how to pick that one game per week. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to list all the games between ranked teams. If they're ranked and they're having a game, they're going to be on the list. So every week, it'll probably be not the Friday before the game, but the Friday a week and a day before the game. So tomorrow, on Friday, I'll do it for next Saturday, okay? So I'm going to make a video, and I'm going to list all the games this coming week of every ranked team. And you guys will vote on which game I'm going to pick for the score prediction contest. That's how we're going to do it. So, and it'll be a 24-hour voting. That way I can put out the actual video on the Saturday before the games. So every Saturday. Maybe Sunday.
Will it be all the games of the ranked teams, or will it be just the games where a ranked is playing a ranked?
Well, that depends on the particular week. If it's a week where there's multiple ranked versus ranks, I'll just do that. But some weeks there are no ranked versus ranked. So I'll just put all the teams that are ranked who's playing whoever, and that'll be on the list. And we'll do it that way.
Right now, if you look at like a nationwide schedule, which will just drive you nuts. I mean, you might as well just start swallowing aspirin. You've got week 1, week 3, and week 6 that are set up with a bunch of rank versus ranks.
Oh yeah.
Not that there aren't other weeks that are that way, but at the moment, those are the 3 weeks where there appear to be, as they are ranked right now, marquee rankings. But yeah, there are some like that 3rd week of November, there's some real sleepers.
And like the AP poll changes from week to week. So one week they won't be ranked versus ranked, and the next week it possibly could be.
You know, they do the AP ranking comes out in there, gives everybody something to talk about. And it gives them gives the media, it gives the television audience, the network some way to promote their games. But in reality, as so far as who's really deserving of the number 3 spot, who is that team that deserves to be number 10? Yeah, they are a top 10 team. I wish they'd wait until about October 10th.
They need to.
You know, let everybody get 4-5 games in. Then we'll know. Then we'll know how good Alabama's offense is going to be this year.
What about this? Whenever
Oklahoma playing defense like we've been told they're going to play, you know, a lot of those questions will get answered after a month.
You know, what about this? Now, whenever they expanded the playoffs, the only thing that I didn't like is that they have a playoff committee and they have humans, meaning human error, picking their rankings. Now, to me, I wanted them to expand the college football playoffs, or have the playoffs, because we used to not have them, but keep the same stuff, the same stats, the same, you know, whatever system that they were using in the BCS, because that did work. The only problem with the BCS is we didn't have playoffs. So we should have kept the BCS system as far as how the BCS ranked, because those metrics were spot on, guys. I'm telling you, they had spot on metrics, and then created a playoffs off of those metrics, because the human element is killing me.
Sounds to me like you were where I was at the time when they did the BCS, which I was in favor of having what a guy at the Des Moines Register, a good friend of mine who's been writing there since they planted the grass.
Yeah.
Randy Peterson, he called it the BCST, which stood for BCS 2. You let the BCS come up with their 1 versus 2. But then whoever the 3 and the 4 is, and then that makes your 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3 semifinals.
Yes, I agree.
Just use the BCS formula, but extend it out from 2 teams to 4.
Listen to this. So, hold Hold on. By the way, thank you, Denver Snyder, for the $5 super chat. And I like what you said. Rankings are for the fans and TV ratings. Preseason rankings will never go away. 100% correct. I actually agree with that. What we're talking about is, what I'm talking about is whenever they start the playoff rankings, and they do start the playoff rankings later in the season, but it's still done by humans and the human error. Use the metrics that we were using in the BCS, and then come up with your playoffs that way. I think the BCS did fine as far as measuring the metrics. It was, maybe the best team got knocked out of those metrics with an upset, and maybe a 3 deserved to play in a playoff type of setting. And then expanding to this 12 team, the BCS metrics would have been sweet for that, man. I mean, absolutely sweet.
Well, what the BCS gave you was a
Unbiased.
schedule and a power ranking that was based not on your one loss, but it was your one loss and the one loss of the teams you played.
Right.
Then you had the Sagarin power rankings. You had about 5 factors. One of the factors was a human poll, but it only was a small part of the matrix. It wasn't
the end all be all.
Right, and it was never enough percentage to where they could all sit in a room and all decide on, we've got to have Ohio State, and then have enough sway that it overrode all the mass. It was never that influential. So, but who's to say? Well, I'm never going to get my way, or they'd already made me king. So hey, thanks for taking the call. I'll get out of the way. I know other people want to call. I appreciate it, GBD.
Oh, man, anytime. Great conversation, man. I especially enjoyed that last part about the BCS. Good stuff, man.
All right, we'll talk later.
Have a good one, man. Jeff knows his stuff, and I 100% agree with him about... I'm glad we started the playoff thing, but going solely to a human element for the playoff rankings, which, by the way, guys, Steve is calling in at 10:15, so hold off on your calls. I have a guest coming in, okay? I have Steve. If I mispronounce your last name and you're listening, bud, sorry, I apologize. I think it's Steve Deese. If I'm wrong, whenever you come on, correct me. I apologize. So after I'm done with the guest caller, you guys can call back in. But some good stuff, and I 100% agree with that. This is a Florida number. I don't know if that's him. Hold on, guys. This is Golden Blue, dude. Hey, what's going on? Hey, I got Steve Deese about to call in. So after he calls in, I'll give you first priority, okay? I thought he was going to call in at 9:15, but we forgot that he was at Central Time. All right, so after him, you can come back on, all right? All right, right. Yeah, sorry about that, True. We weren't 100% sure if Steve was going to call in or not, because yesterday was when he was supposed to call in for the live show, and then I had to cancel. I mean, it was literally it was 15 minutes before the show was going to go on, so I felt bad, but guys, I was dizzy, nauseous, basically felt like I was super, super car sick. There was no way I would have been able to do a live show, so we weren't sure if he was going to be able to call in or not. So he's going to call in here in a few minutes, but yeah, good callers so far, some good topics. I especially enjoyed the last few minutes of the last conversation. Should have kept the BCS metrics, and then expand the playoffs from there. So you keep the metrics on how they rank the teams and who got into the national championship. Just use a playoff format, because the human element is always going to have the what if, or this looked like biased, or they picked this team just because of their name brand, or this and that. In the BCS, the human element was only a small part of the rankings. Metrics was the most part. So that was the only thing that I don't understand why creating the playoffs could have been an awesome thing, and it is pretty good. But it's that human element, and you know they're going to mess up on something. Cincinnati falling in the rankings because of that stupid FPI was nonsense. I think Cincinnati should at least been a top 16. For them to fall when they did nothing to deserve that, and then I think they jumped, I believe it was Iowa State or somebody that had 2 losses above them. I'm like, come on, guys. It's that stupid FPI, which to me is irrelevant. The BCS metrics would have had Cincinnati in the top 6 for sure. I'm convinced of that. We'll never know because it's not going on right now, and a different time, a different era. But if you're listening to me, playoff committee, maybe one of you guys somehow came across this, pitch that idea. Hey, the BCS metrics was working for what it needed to work for. When we expanded to the playoffs, we should have kept that to keep the rankings solid and unbiased. That's the biggest issue that everybody has with these current playoffs, is the biased or even just potential biased. Maybe they're not being biased, but it just comes off as it could have been, or it looked like it, stuff like that. That would have eliminated that. So, yeah, it is what it is, and I see you, Matthew Bryant. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. That's life, But I will say, y'all have made this a great show so far. I'm happy that I was able to do it tonight. I apologize, and it was totally my fault because I straight up waited too long in between lunch and dinner to eat again. So, yeah, wasn't good. I have hypoglycemia, so my blood sugar can drop really, really fast, especially if I wait too long in between meals. And that's exactly what I did. So I need to not do that, especially on the days that I have live shows. And the weird thing was, so it happened about 15 minutes. I did a store run, and I got back. It was like 8:15. I was fine. All of a sudden, 8:45, just felt like I was car sick, just the worst car sick ever. I eat about, 5 minutes, 10 minutes before the show was supposed to start. I was hoping it would kick in by then. It didn't, but by 9:30, yeah, I was fine. I have to admit, by 9:30, I was fine, but it was too late by then. I thought about doing a live show then, but I couldn't guarantee that I could stay up long enough because I had to wake up early the next day. So instead, I just decided to push the whole thing over tonight. That way, you guys could get the full show. So I'm pretty excited about that. Let's see what's going on in the chat real quick. Let's see. All right. Homer says, I'm missing some type of conversation because that looked funny, but I had no. It would be out of. Okay, here we go. Denver says, Homer, your mascot is a kitty. I'm thinking that he's talking about the Panther mascot. Here we go. How's it going, bud?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. We're having a pretty good show so far.
Well, good. Sorry, I forgot about it earlier. My mistake. I apologize for that.
Actually, it's my mistake because yesterday we were supposed to do it yesterday, and I waited too long in between lunch and dinner, and my hypoglycemia kicked in, and I got really nauseous, really dizzy, and so I had to postpone it to tonight. So it was really my fault. So we're good though. We're good.
Okay, we're good.
So, from what Joey told me, your team is Michigan. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, you got some Big Ten news for us?
Sure, you bet.
Fill us in on the Big Ten real quick.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Hold on. Let me adjust this. Make sure you can hear me right. Let's talk some Big Ten football real quick.
Okay, you bet.
All right, so last year I was thinking there was a possibility that Michigan could actually fire Jim Harbaugh. But what happens instead is they actually extend him, but he makes less money and his buyout is less. And I think that makes a lot of sense. It keeps them from it kept them from having to buy him out at a bigger price, and he's on a shorter lease. How did you feel whenever you heard that news?
Well, I think what happened last year is that he was looking to see if he could land a job in the NFL.
Right, yes.
And when he could not, so there were really two impulses at work last year. One, after the disaster of last year. One is Michigan didn't want to have to pay a massive buyout when they were looking at an $80 million shortfall because of COVID.
Yep.
Okay? And they were concerned about what it would look like politically to do that because of so many furloughs and cuts that were going on throughout the athletic department. Okay, Michigan is a school that is very concerned about its reputation, perception, and some of us would argue often too self-righteously so.
Right.
And the other impulse at work is that they don't want to fire one of the greatest players in the history of the program, who also did the program a favor by spurring NFL opportunities to come back home and put it at least back on solid footing and fixing the program. It is fundamentally superior on every level than it was when he took over. But at the same time, Jim has not reached the goals or achieved the objectives either he or the program envisioned when he came.
Right.
So they're in this kind of no man's land. And so they didn't want to pay a buyout, but Jim was invited to see if he could find a soft landing in the NFL, and he could not. And so once that became apparent, then the contract extension that now has Jim with, I think, the lowest buyout in the Power Five. I think he's somewhere right behind Skip Holtz at Louisiana Tech for lowest buyouts in college football.
Yep.
This was kind of hatched so that, basically this is Jim betting on himself.
Right.
And this is a 1-year thing to see if it'll work. I don't think that there is a defined amount of wins. I mean, I think everybody recognizes if they're 5-7 or 6-6,
right,
they're making a coaching change.
Yeah.
Okay. What if they're 7-5 or 8-4? Well, I think it depends on who those losses are to. If it's Ohio State and Michigan State again, then there will be a coaching change.
Right.
If they're 8-4, but they beat Michigan State and they're not embarrassed by Ohio State, then I think he'll be given another year because this is a very young team at the exact same time. So
right.
Now it's kind of up to Jim. He's healthier. He is down to his playing weight at the moment. He's had some hip issues the last few years, so he's moving better. This is the friendliest and most open he has been with fans and media, I think, since he first arrived. They've brought in a younger head coaching or younger assistant coaching staff, 6 new coaches. They're trying to emulate what Brian Kelly did at Notre Dame after he went 4-8 in 2016. And then he replaced his entire staff, and now he's the first Notre Dame coach ever to win double-digit games 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
That's the template that Jim is trying to follow. But the reason why we point out the Brian Kelly experiment working is because the history, more times than not, when a coach changes assistants at this level, and he's usually the next guy that goes. It rarely works as well as it worked for Brian Kelly. But Jim has defied the odds in his career before, both as a coach and a player. So we will see if he can do it again.
Yes, I agree with that. Now, having said all that, if you had to make a prediction, where do you think Michigan will finish in the Big Ten East this year? Who do you think they finish behind?
I don't believe he will do well enough to retain his job, and
Okay.
I would like to be wrong about that, but I think that this is still a very talented roster.
Yeah.
This is still a program that has recruited over the last 4 years, on average, a class somewhere in the top 10 to 12 on average for those 4 years. The problem they have is they're very talented at numerous spots: offensive line, linebacker, running back, wide receiver. There's a lot of programs, not just in the Big Ten, but in the country, that would gladly trade rosters with Michigan at most positions.
Yeah.
The 2 places, though, where they have the most question marks also right now happen to be the 2 most important positions in college football, and that's quarterback and defensive line.
Yep.
The defensive line, they're switching to a more of a 3-4 multiple, more of an amorphous kind of a scheme like what the Baltimore Ravens run,
Right.
which are coached by his brother. And even with the switching of a 3-4, it's really hard to figure out who Michigan's second backup defensive lineman is. Their depth is not what you would expect from a program that has put so many defensive linemen in the NFL over the last 10 years or so. And then quarterback. Everybody wants to talk about what Cade McNamara did off the bench against Rutgers last year, and I understand Greg Schiano is a better coach than what they had there before, but it is still Rutgers.
Yeah.
He was struggling the next week against Penn State before he got hurt. He was not exactly lighting it up. I mean, this guy went into camp last year, the third-string quarterback. Now, he was a highly recruited player, originally committed to Notre Dame. He broke every passing record in the state of Nevada. He was a 4-star recruit, but we really haven't seen anything out of him. And then behind him is the highest-rated quarterback recruit the program has signed since Ryan Mallett about 15 years ago, and that's J.J. McCarthy,
Wow.
the 5-star out of IMG Academy in Florida. But he's a true freshman, and I think they would prefer to not have to go to him, but at least not right away. But, for all of the reputation that Jim had as a quarterback whisperer when he came here, he has yet to see a quarterback he has recruited be drafted into the NFL. And we're heading
true.
into year 7.
Yeah.
And so that's held the program back more than anything else. So when you look at how talented this roster is everywhere else, except the 2 places where you need to be talented the most in college football, that's why, unfortunately, I'm not optimistic that he's going to catch lightning in a bottle here and turn this thing around.
Well, I kind of disagree with you, and it's not that I think that he's going to turn it around, but I think the schedule sets up really nicely for Michigan. I think Michigan is better than Maryland. I think Michigan is better than Rutgers, of course. I think Michigan is better than Michigan State. I think they lost to a Michigan State team that they shouldn't have lost to last year. I don't think that happens again. And I think I know Michigan gets Indiana at home. And I think Indiana having to play a 12-game schedule will expose kind of their lack of depth. I mean, they're not super shallow, but I don't think they're built for a long schedule. I think Michigan can upset Indiana at home. And that first game, I've been telling people, I have been preaching this, that first game against Washington is your most important game of the year. It could determine whether you go to a bowl or you miss a bowl. If Michigan beats Washington, and I think they're going to be capable of it, Washington's going to be a good team, but it is at home, first game. If Michigan can beat Washington in that first game, I think Michigan can go either 7-5 or 8-4.
I think a lot of people think that game against Washington is very pivotal. They're going to have that be a night game. Michigan has played very well at home in those night game settings, going back to the very first one against Notre Dame in 2011.
Yep.
So I think that a lot of people think that game is really pivotal in terms of the psyche of this team, the culture of this team, and the chemistry of this team the rest of the way. So I think that's a pretty smart take. I think 7-5 will be a coaching change, period. Because there's just no scenario where you haven't essentially lost every important game on your schedule that matters the most at 7-5. Like it's highly unlikely you're going to beat Washington at home and win at Michigan State, but still go 7-5.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got you.
So if you're 7-5, if you're that there will be a coaching change at Michigan. Now it won't be a firing, and I think that this contract is a sign that this would be the college football version of a uncontested divorce, where in some states the 2 parties can agree that everything's fine between them personally, amicably though. They just shouldn't stay married any longer. It's not working out.
Hey,
they
hold
can agree
on.
on their own without getting lawyers on how to split things up. I think that's what you would be looking at. I think Jim would resign. Michigan
Yeah.
would cut him some kind of a check. It wouldn't be near the buyout he had, but it wouldn't be insignificant either. And thank him for what he did to put the program back on track. And you'd see Jim, go back to the NFL, and maybe it wouldn't be a head coach. Maybe he'd be an offensive coordinator or a quarterback coach. I don't know. But if it doesn't work out, I think that's what will occur. But at 7-5, I think there will definitely be a coaching change here. And that's the record that I actually have them projected to have.
Yeah.
8-4, I think it comes down to who are those 4 losses to. For example, if they get off to a really hot start,
Yeah.
but then they flail in November. They've got a tough stretch in November. Indiana at home, at Penn State. You mentioned Maryland. Where that game is located on the schedule is the trap game of all trap games. Okay.
Yeah.
Right between Penn State and Ohio State, and it's after you've played Michigan State, Indiana, and Penn State back to back to back, and you've got Ohio State on deck. That is the trap game of all trap games. So
Yeah.
I think they could potentially start like 6 or 7-1. And be ranked in the top 15, but then struggle in that November stretch. And if that were to happen, I think you would see a coaching change again.
Yeah, because you remember what happens the most recently. So, say you get off to a hot start. Well, they won't remember that if you end, horribly, like in a ball of fire like that. Hold on one second. I got a super chat from John Waffle H2P. I appreciate that. He says, "Tell them Pitt is a blue blood." You are correct, sir. Pitt is indeed a blue blood. There you go. But I agree with that. They're going to remember. They're going to remember what happens in November more than what they remember, or more so than what happens at the beginning of the season. That's a very good point.
I think there's another scenario to understand here too, and that is the perception angle again.
Yeah.
If we're playing that final game against Ohio State, and there's 30 or 40,000 Ohio State fans in the Big House, which is possible.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And they roll Michigan again, that is going to be colossally embarrassing. Last year we had prominent former players like Brian Greasy and Charles Woodson speak out about how disappointed they were in the program and the way the team looked. So if that scenario were to unfold again against Ohio State, I think then, again, that's what we go back to talking about at the beginning. The perception of this is going to matter more than what the actual record is.
Because I don't think that's going to happen because you mentioned the situation at quarterback for Michigan, right? Well, it's going to be this. Now, I understand that Ohio State is loaded at wide receiver and their defense is going to be good. But their running back situation, not good. Master Teague has to take over, and he was average at best. They're going to have a super green quarterback. And I know Ohio State recruits at a high level, but they're in the same situation as Michigan is as far as the quarterback situation goes. And for, a young quarterback like that, super green, I believe the first time in 40-some years that Ohio State will start a quarterback that's never thrown a collegiate pass. I know by the time they get to Michigan, he will have. But that's going to be an intimidating atmosphere. I think Michigan loses but keeps it closer than people realize. I really do.
That could happen. As a Michigan fan, I don't know. They lost Braxton Miller, and then they had J.T. Barrett. They lost J.T. Barrett, and and then they had Cardale Jones. They lost Cardale Jones, and then they had J.T. Barrett again. They lost J.T. Barrett, and then they had Dwayne Haskins. They lost Dwayne Haskins, and then they had Justin Fields. So you'll forgive me if I'm not as unfortunately as pessimistic about the Ohio State quarterback situation as you are.
I understand.
I've heard this,
the biggest difference
before.
for me though is they don't have. I know those were new quarterbacks for Ohio State, but they had at least some experience. These guys do not, as far as throwing the ball.
That's true. That is true.
And I'm not saying Ohio State's going to win that game, not by a long shot, but I think Michigan could keep it within 2 scores. I think they can.
How about the fact that we're even having this conversation? It's humiliating, and this is why. This is. I think we can keep it in between 2 scores like we are Purdue. And well, actually, Purdue has beaten Ohio State 6 times this century so far. We've only done it twice. So that conversation there is a monumental embarrassment to Michigan and its fans, and that's why Jim is in the position that he is in this season.
And what do you think is the biggest contributor to that? What has happened that has caused Ohio State?
Two failures. One, he's never really developed a college program atmosphere. They're very good at identifying talent, developing it. They put 10 guys in the NFL last year off a team that went 2-4.
Yeah.
So it's a very NFL atmosphere. Now this year he's trying to create more of a esprit de corps, more of a family atmosphere, down to even having recruiting visits where players and their families come to his home. He had never really done that before.
Yes.
Never really let people in. He's kind of been very standoffish. So I think part of it is cultural. And I think the other part is just very simply, they've never developed an elite level championship quarterback. You put those two things together, and that's really the answer to your question.
Yeah, and that's why I think Michigan is going to look like a different team this year, because it does seem like that Jim Harbaugh is kind of getting out of his NFL mindset. He's still going to put players in the NFL, but he's, like you said, he's trying to be more of a family college atmosphere. So I think that's going to pay dividends this year. Not to the point to where they're going to be amazing, 10 wins, all that stuff. But I think 8-4 is doable, and not getting embarrassed by Ohio State is doable. And Jim Harbaugh barely keeping his job doable.
Well, the scenario you laid out would probably be the bare minimum he needs to accomplish.
Exactly.
To keep his job, I would say.
And I think it's doable. I know as a Michigan fan, you'd like to hear better news. There's a chance for Michigan to go 10 wins. I don't see that happening, but I do see a chance for Michigan to show signs that they're actually turning it around and not just, running in place. I think we could see a sign just enough to where the higher-ups are like, okay, this thing might be turning around, and then next year we could be talking about a 10-win season.
We shall see. That Washington game is the key. You're right about that.
Exactly. That's the big one. And I think, it's really close. I think at first I predicted Washington to win that. I might stick with that. But if they do, it's going to be close. And Michigan definitely has a chance. And if they do, that game might be the key to keeping Jim Harbaugh or not. Plain and simple.
Agreed. That could be a springboard game for the rest of the season, no doubt about it.
Exactly. Tell everybody where they can find you. All your social media platforms, YouTube, all that stuff.
Sure. Just look for Michigan Podcast on YouTube, and you can just follow at Michigan Podcast, all one word, on Twitter as well.
That was my cat. Sorry about that. Anytime you want to come on the show, man, you're more than welcome. You're very knowledgeable and respectful, and I appreciated, everything you said. Awesome. You contributed to the show massively. Loved it, man. So give me a shout anytime, and I'll have you on.
I appreciate it. Very kind. Thank you very much.
No problem, man. Hey, have a good night, man.
You too.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye. There you go. And I do think Michigan fans should be upbeat and optimistic to a certain extent. As long as you're not expecting a 10-win season, you're going to be fine. If you're expecting a 10-win season, you're going to be depressed, you're going to be pissed off, and you're going to be mad again. Know where you're at. Know what to expect. Know what a good season would look like. 8-4. That would be a sign that Michigan is turning things around, and that would be a sign of a good season. Jim Harbaugh would stay for the time being, and then next year, maybe you could look for a 10-win season. That's how you got to look at things. Let me check the time real quick, guys. 10:35. Yeah, I'll give you guys 25 more minutes if you want to call in. If you got the number, you're good to go. If you want the number, you got to email footballnewshour.com. All one word, all lower caps. footballnewshour.com. Email, give your information, what number you're calling from, and he will respond and give you the call-in number. That's our way of trying to control the troll population, because the first time we gave out the number on the on the show. It was bad, guys. Really, really bad. So we developed a system. It's working good so far. I'm sure trolls will figure out a way to crack the code, and it is what it is. They always try to get their shots in. I don't know why they do what they do, but they do. They think they're funny. They think they're messing up your show or getting you kicked off YouTube. I don't know. Whatever. But so far, our system has worked. We shall see. Great show so far, though. We've had some great call-ins. Great guest call-in. Man, that dude was super knowledgeable. I'm gonna have him on again. Maybe next time we'll talk more broad about the Big Ten. I meant to ask him if he's heard anything about Big Ten expansion, all that stuff. We got on the Michigan train, and I just stopped thinking about all that stuff. So it was still fun. Seminole, True Seminole, you can call in now. You called in right before Steve did. The phone lines are open for you to call if you want to, bud. I just had to let him. I scheduled him, so we wanted to have him on. It was pretty cool. Don Wells, I don't know what you're waiting on. Maybe Joey's out of service and he can't email you back. But yeah, hold on. Oh yeah, this is True Seminole. Hey, what's going on, bud? How you been today?
Hey, man, what's going on, big dog?
So far, so good. We've had a pretty good show.
I know. It looks pretty good, man. I've been watching it.
Yeah, and Lou started his live show at 10. That's why I try not to come on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, because he draws a big crowd, and we're still doing halfway decent even with Lou on. So I'm satisfied.
I've just been enjoying the chat, man. These Pitt fans and all these guys going at it, son.
Telling you, Pitt fans and West Virginia fans like to jaw back and forth.
I know. Y'all better keep that same thing when y'all come to the ACC, man.
Oh, dude, it'll be 10 times worse, man. You think it's bad now? Oh my gosh. This is PG compared to what you're gonna see.
No, I was looking at a post the other day that they were ranked in the top 10 rivalries, and West Virginia and Pitt was up there to my surprise. But I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing that really throws people off is Pitt has a 21-game lead, but most of that damage, well, pretty much all that damage was done like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. West Virginia's pretty much dominated the series since I was born, which is 82. I mean, in all categories, not just in us beating them. I mean, I'm talking about undefeated seasons, double-digit win seasons, better seasons head-to-head. I mean, we've pretty much owned Pitt since I've been born. So I've had a pretty good lifetime.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about one of your videos that you just posted.
All right.
You were talking about teams that can be fired, right?
Yeah.
And I think I have a different opinion. I think a team should be fired based on where their ceiling could be. You know what I mean?
Okay. I gotcha.
Say, I believe if Syracuse had a pretty good coaching staff, they would have a higher ceiling than, say, a pretty good coaching staff at Wake Forest, right?
Maybe, yeah.
I think that's pretty. I mean, Wake Forest, you're in a position where you have three other schools that are bigger than you in your state.
Yeah, but at the same time, it wasn't too long ago when the Wake Forest won the Coastal, wasn't it?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember how long ago it was.
Yeah, it wasn't too long. So that's the toughest thing, because every team, no matter how bad they are, they're going to have that magical season or magical 2 or 3 seasons, and you're like, well, if they could do it then they can do it anytime. But it's the consistency. The video that I did was based on consistency, and I get what you're saying, the ceiling. But, will they ever reach that ceiling is the question.
That's the thing, man. I mean, we'll see what Syracuse does. And Georgia Tech, they have a more recent national championship than Georgia, so I wouldn't really fire them.
Well, I understand that too. Another aspect that went into it is how much money do these teams actually bring to the ACC. I know Georgia Tech's in the Atlanta market, but Georgia owns the state of Georgia, including most of Atlanta. And Boston College, they were like, oh, we're bringing in Boston College. We'll own the Boston TV market. Wrong answer. Nobody in Boston cares about Boston College. So that did nothing for you. I have no idea why Boston College is in the ACC. It makes no sense to me. Syracuse, they might have a little bit of a TV market in upper New York, but they don't have the New York City market. Like people are, they're in the state of New York, so they have New York City. Wrong answer. So it was all that stuff combined that made me come up with that list.
I understand. I would just fire teams based on what the ceiling and potential could be. So I would say like Wake Forest and Duke would be my two number ones. I would probably fire if I had the choice.
You know, I thought about Duke, but man, they bring in the money when it comes to basketball. But I do realize I might do this video after Coach K retires, cause man, Duke could fall off a cliff when it comes to basketball. I am very interested to see who they hire and what happens afterwards.
I don't think Duke's going to be pretty good anymore. I don't think so.
If that happens, Duke would definitely go into the firing squad.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
And plus, I'm not a big fan of having more than two schools in a state, anyways.
North Carolina has like 4, don't they?
Yeah, the ACC has 4 schools in North Carolina, which is
Yeah.
kind of embarrassing. I don't like it.
I guess it's whoever you're born the closest to, that's the team you root for. I don't know how that works.
I don't know. Maybe they're all related somehow.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
But yeah, I mean, I understand your point. So you're right. The stadiums are pathetic in the ACC, especially for Power 5 level. They're pretty pathetic. But those are things that can be worked on and fixed, and I like it. But Wake Forest, I just don't see them ever. I think Dave Clawson has brought Wake Forest to their ceiling. I don't think you go better than what Dave Clawson has done, like David Cutcliffe did with Duke.
And Dave Clawson was, so it wasn't that long ago because Dave Clawson was the guy that led them to a Coastal Division championship, I believe it was.
Yeah. And I love Dave Clawson. You're not getting me wrong. He brings out the best in those players.
Yeah.
Especially with, I mean, his recruiting classes ain't been something to be excited about, but he's still doing something at Wake Forest, which is very impressive to me.
We know one team that was not on the chopping block, and that was Florida State. Not even close. Talking about Florida State, I think they have a chance of at least going 6-6 and getting to a bowl. I think their ceiling would be 7-5. I think that's their ceiling, but I think they'll get 6-6. What do you think?
You're asking a very pessimistic Florida State fan. I warn you there.
Well, you're recruiting. You're recruiting. You're getting back to the way Florida State should recruit.
Oh yeah, top 10 classes.
Yeah.
I like it, but at the same time, those kids aren't on campus yet, so it don't really affect us yet.
And what about Notre Dame coming to Tallahassee, dude?
Oh, bring it on! I'm ready for them.
I'm telling you, there's a chance. There's a chance that Florida State could upset Notre Dame. Here's why. Number one, asked North Carolina last year, and that wasn't even in front of a packed house. Doak Campbell's going to be packed, and Florida State has size. Now listen, I'll say it all day long. Notre Dame has the better athletes right now, but Florida State is a humongous team. And sometimes that's all you need. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but on the road, a very big opponent, I'm telling you, it's doable.
The scary thing is because I really don't think it's that out of the realm of possibility for Florida State to win this game. I think it's a lot closer than what it actually seems, especially with Jack Cohen as the starting at quarterback. I mean, if he couldn't win a starting job at Wisconsin, what is he doing at Notre Dame?
Yeah.
So that's got me a little bit having faith in it. And then I guess, I don't really know if you know the quarterback situation with the Seminoles going on right now.
Last I heard, it was Mackenzie Milton, wasn't it?
Well, that may not be the case anymore. What I'm hearing is Jordan Travis is showing the most. The guy who ran over the field all game last year against North Carolina.
Really?
Yes. What I'm hearing is he stepped up and throwing, but I mean we'll all see that.
So is Mackenzie like not showing the form that? Because that's what surprised. If Mackenzie Milton was being himself, then he should win the position easily. So what that tells me is he's maybe scared, because that's a ridiculous injury. Maybe he's out there throwing scared.
Oh, without a doubt. And it's just 24/7 Sports is posting all this stuff about Mackenzie Milton's obviously the starter here. It's really not what's going on at Florida State. It's tight
Interesting.
between Jordan Travis, and I think Jordan Travis honestly has the lead. And I mean, Mackenzie Milton, do not get me wrong, he showed out during the spring game.
Okay.
But that's just it's a spring game.
Yeah.
There's barely any contact. Nothing for him to be worried about. Contact practice these last few weeks. This good. What I've been hearing is not too good in Mackenzie Milton's favor.
See, that's the
I heard,
problem. Once you get an injury brutal like that, you're scared to get tackled. That might be a head thing with him.
Yeah, if anything, I mean, he has to get through it if he wants to start.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I like Mackenzie Milton, and what I've heard these last two practices, though, is he actually did step up, and he threw, I think, 3 touchdowns to a freshman receiver, I do believe.
Yeah.
And so he did step up these last two practices, but then again, we'll see. We might roll into Notre Dame or roll into Tallahassee with a 2-quarterback system to beat Notre Dame. Hopefully, maybe.
And that's fine. And I think, I'm not calling for the upset. I think it's possible. I think they keep it close. I think they scare Notre Dame. But I think this is going to be a confidence booster. And I think Florida State goes realistically 6-6, which is an accomplishment. That's a successful season. And gets to a bowl, builds on it. Next year, maybe tries to get to 9 wins, 8-4, 9-3, something like that. And next thing you know, you're on to something.
Especially, I mean, if Florida State if we can manage to go to a bowl and win our bowl game, 7-6, we could keep this top 10 class.
There you go.
If we go 6-6, I think it drops 15. The top 15 class. That's what I think. I don't think we get Marvin Jones if we. Unless
he does like what Neil Brown is doing. What Neil Brown at West Virginia is, and West Virginia has a top 20, top 15 class. That's it's been a long time since West Virginia's done that. What he's preaching is a national championship, playoffs, conference championship, whatever you want to put, fill in the blank, starts with you. You could be the start of this. Sometimes you can get kids to buy in if you can preach to them that people will remember you as the start of something great, because it has to start somewhere.
Before Neil Brown, what was the average? Like, I don't know barely anything.
Under Dana Holgerson, we averaged like a low 30s, high 40s recruiting class.
What kind of recruiting classes are you used to?
Okay, so before Dana Holgerson came, especially in the early 2000s up to about 2011, we were averaging top 25 classes. Before then, maybe top 30. So I'd say between 20 and 30. We'll just leave that gap. Under Holgerson, we were averaging high 30s, low 40s. Terrible. And people got used to that. People thought that's how West Virginia recruited. I'm like, no. For whatever reason, Holgerson cannot recruit under West Virginia. And he came out and trash talked West Virginia and said, well, West Virginia's in the Big 12 and I'm a head coach and the recruiting is the way it is. We'll never get a top 25 class here. And immediately, 2 years after he's gone, West Virginia has a top 20, not 25, top 20 recruiting class. That's how West Virginia recruits. This is actually normal for West Virginia. It's a bit high. Usually it's top 25, not top 20. So it is a bit high, but it's more normal than what we saw under Holgerson.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds good. Sounds like y'all are going in the right direction. At least you know where you're going.
Well, people don't realize West Virginia is only one of 3 teams that's top 20 in total wins in football and basketball. And that's Texas, Notre Dame, and West Virginia.
That sounds like a pretty convincing resume for me to let you on the ACC.
There you go. And the big thing was academics.
Long live the ACC, and I'll be happy.
And the thing was the academics. But Gordon Gee, our president, he's a smart guy. And he has been talking to Jim Phillips. I'm not sure how many months, but he has been talking. He explained to him, people don't realize this. Usually, universities send their lower academics to affiliated branches so it doesn't count against their score. Gordon Gee has talked to Jim Phillips about this, and adjusting for that, West Virginia actually does meet the academic requirements for the ACC. Adjusting for the fact that we don't send our lower academics to affiliated colleges or universities like most other universities.
Well, I'm rooting for you guys. I hope y'all do make it to the ACC.
We're in, brother. We're in.
Alrighty. Well,
Yep.
that's all I wanted to say. Just chat some stuff up with you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Man.
Good conversation, man. Call in next time. I'll be on Saturday. Good stuff. Guys, I'm running out of energy. I apologize. But the good news is you're only going to have to wait one more day, and then you can call in. Saturday, 9 p.m. All you have to do, email footballnewshour.com during the show. Now, once the show goes off, you can email me at refsuck@gmail.com. Hopefully my mods are still here. refssuk.com, and I will answer you directly. Joey does the best he can, but sometimes he has some bad connection. He actually does live out in the boondocks in Kentucky. So once I get off the show, email me directly. Let me know who you are, what number you're going to call from, and I will email you the call-in number. That's refssuk, refsuck@gmail.com. And I'll get back with you. I'll give you the call-in number, and we'll go from there. You'll be good to go. I had a great time, guys. Great show. Great call-ins. Appreciate all the support. Look at that. 80. Now, the audience did fall a little bit down to 55. That's fine. 83 likes. The likes outnumber the people in the comments right now. That's amazing, guys. Awesome. You guys did a great job. I had a good time. I hope you had a good time. I'll be back Saturday night, 9 p.m., and I might pick out my my game tomorrow because I think the first big slate is the following week. We'll figure it out. Hey, if you want to get in on the score prediction contest, here's how it works. I'm going to pick out one game per week. Winner gets $50 every single week. All you have to do is go over to my Patreon page, join my Patreon page. It can be the lowest level, which is less than $5 a month. So for less than $5 a month, you could win up to $200 a month. Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. So if you think you know what you're doing and you can get closest to the actual score, you're going to make a lot of money. Now, if we don't get enough Patrons, I'll have to bump it down to 20. But I have faith in you guys. I have faith that we're going to be giving away $50. Thank you, True Seminole, for the $9.99. Say it for me. Long live the ACC. The ACC ain't going nowhere. West Virginia's coming. I don't know about Notre Dame. Maybe not immediately, but the ACC will keep the seat warm for Notre Dame. And eventually, just maybe, Notre Dame might come around. We'll see. Hey, y'all have a good night. Come back and check me out on Saturday at 9 p.m. And every single day, videos. Not live shows, but videos every single day. Haven't missed a day in over a year and 3 months now. Over a year and 3 months. I know Uncle Lou's on, so, go do what you're going to do. I might jump over with Uncle Lou and say hi as well. Y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all on Saturday.